Hello and welcome to the Car Motivators Who's Happening in Automotive podcast, whereby we spotlight those who represent the best practices of our beloved automotive industry. My guest today is the managing partner of Dealer Merchant Services, DMS, and president of DI Marketing. Dealer Merchant Services is a company with a unique specialty, a unique value proposition to help dealers save 75% of their credit card processing fees, which, by the way, can really add up, especially for a dealer group. In a period where actual car sales are suddenly more challenging, revenue needs to be found in other places throughout the dealership, and money bleeds in the form of expenses, misappropriated or just unnecessary, need to be bandaged up. Our guest has won an entire slew of awards, and I hope I don't mess this one up, from Ernst & Young to Inc. magazine's fastest growing company, fastest growing woman-owned company, top 40 under 40 in Houston, been nominated for, I love this, NAWBO awards a few times, and I actually know who they are. I actually went to a chapter meeting up in Santa Barbara. Amberly Allen, thanks for jumping on.
Kelly, so happy to be here. Thank you so much. What a pleasure.
Well, I can't believe I got through that intro. So we are rocking and rolling here. Great. Before we get into what DMS and DI marketing do, because it's extremely important and unique, how long have you been in the automotive industry and what got you into the industry to begin with? Some of us just wake up and there we are.
Well, I was young. I was 23 when I started in the business, and I actually started selling direct mail to dealers when I first started. So I worked for a company for a little while and then decided to go out on my own. So I was 24 when I started my business. I looked about 17. I have a funny joke because I used to call my own voicemail and pretend like I had some gray-haired boss on the other end of the line helping me negotiate deals, because we know car dealers are big negotiators. So every time they wanted a better price, I would just call my own voicemail. I didn't ever actually tell anyone for a while that I was the owner. So, but I've been in and around the business for 18 years, and I love it. It's in my blood. So yeah. I'm grateful to be a part of it.
Well, glad to have you on board, and great story, actually. I've got something to share with you some other time along those lines. Now, your company has a very unique niche in automotive, and it's a specialty that makes a lot of sense right now for sure. What does your 30-second elevator pitch sound like? Now, you're in an elevator at an ADA, and a slightly overfed, well-dressed dealer with a college football team championship ring and receding hairline asks you, what do you do? You're on the first floor, you're going to the 8th. Fire away.
Well, I'm hoping that the college ring is somewhere in the SEC so I can at least start to gain some rapport with him, because I'm an Ole Miss grad. But either way, I would tell him that I have a program that has a proprietary software that looks at dealers' credit card processing, and we save them anywhere between $5,000 and $15,000 per month per rooftop, simply by putting the fees onto the customer and giving them the transparency of payment choice with credit versus debit. So credit cards are 3% higher, and debit cards are nothing additional. So debit equals cash. So that would be my 30-second pitch.
And you did it in 20 seconds. That's
perfect.
World record for this particular show. Now, there's a bit of confusion about surcharges regarding credit and debit card purchases in the state of Texas, for sure, where I think you probably do a lot of your business. But it appears as though a federal law may supersede any illegalities for those who actually try. Can you clarify that?
So sure. Anytime we talk to a dealer or a dealer group, we go through the history lesson first. And frankly, it all started in 2010 with the Durbin Amendment, which started regulating debit card processing costs. It was a part of the Dodd-Frank Act. In 2017, there was a U.S. Supreme Court case that determined that businesses have a First Amendment right to be able to communicate to their customers that if they use a different form of payment, they could save money. 2018, there was a class action lawsuit against Visa and MasterCard and some of the big banks that resulted in a $6.4 billion settlement. I tell you all that to say that here we are in 2022, only 2 states remain with a ban on surcharging, and that's Connecticut and Massachusetts. So we do business. I think we're in 18 states right now. We have dealers all over the country and many more signing up. But it's new. The laws have changed. We see it a lot in particular apps like Venmo and Cash App. They have this exact same policy. So if you've ever sent money via Venmo or Cash App, they charge you 3% additional if you send money with your credit card and nothing additional if you use your bank account. And so those same policies are the ones we're trying to mimic in the car business.
Yeah. Of course, Venmo and Square will also kill you if you have no card attached.
That's true.
If you have to manually put it in, you get killed for 3.5%. Well, when you walk into a dealership, you do an analysis, of course. What does it consist of, and what does your checklist look like?
So we really only ask for 3 months of their credit card processing statements. That'll give us an idea of the fluctuation in volume and transactions. And then we'll get an idea of how many dollars they're spending to process credit cards, the net effective rate. So whatever that effective rate, we see an average of about 2% across the automotive space. We've seen some over 4 and some closer to 1.5. But in general, they're giving away $2 for every $100 they spend as it pertains to processing cards.
So it's a pretty easy estimate. And, I was wondering how long it would actually take you to, realistically, you could probably do it like just within 15 seconds, probably. I can imagine, okay, I'm a dealer, I do $1 million a month, and you reply after 10 seconds of scratching your head, I can save you 10 grand.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
We get pretty darn close to that, depending on their effective rate. But once they kind of tell me their volume and we have a very quick tool. They just put in 2 data points on our website, and they can find out an average of what they're looking at. If we took a 2% average, right? What's your volume? How many transactions you're doing, that sort of thing. And we can get really darn close to it. But these are net dollar savings. And it in a business where you're at 2% net profit, it takes a lot of cars and a lot of service to make up, and sometimes, especially these big dealer groups, $1 million, $2 million in credit card processing fees over the next 3 years. Yeah. It's significant.
Do you remember your first pitch because this idea, how did you get the idea? And then when did you put enough together to satisfactorily commit yourself to go out there and pitch it?
It's a great question. So I had dealers in my marketing company that I've been working with for a long time. And those are guys that I seek counsel with. Hey, I've got this new product. I've got this new idea. What do you think about it? Can you give me your thoughts? And that's exactly what I did. I said, look, I've been learning about these legal changes. I know that it's not very common yet, but it will continue to evolve. In the state of Texas, there's a big liquor store that has that policy. So, we see that a lot where I live, and in one of these, this big liquor store, it specs liquor. And so, just asking questions, what did they think? And every one of them, of course, was making sure it's legal. What are the compliance requirements? And more importantly, how will my customers react? And so I kind of went back to the drawing board and said, okay, let me figure out exactly what it looks like to be legal and compliant. So we have a merchant services attorney on retainer. We have some really good intel as far as what the card brands deem specific on how to roll it out. So those are some really important components that we will walk the dealer through. We take a stance where we really want to educate them on how to do it. This isn't a DIY type of project. They can't do it themselves. They can't just add it to an RO. They can't just increase their labor rate, things like that. So we'll go through all the details and specifics. But most importantly, they didn't want to trip over dollars to pick up pennies as it pertains to their customers and the sentiment as it pertains to that. So we put together a full training platform, a learning management system that is an easy way for us to communicate. Why are we doing this? What's the word track? What's the presentation? And then we send someone from our team actually on site to the store to help launch the actual program. And that's really where we found to be the most successful as a rollout with a new policy change like this.
And then what does the servicing look like for this? Do they get a monthly or a quarterly report?
They get a monthly report that shows exactly how much they've saved. They have a VIP concierge, so a direct line to someone if there's something going on with their reconciliations or the accounting. This isn't something where we ship them a box of machines and give them a 1-800 number to a far off land where they can never get in touch with a human, right? So they can actually call us or email us immediately if they have an issue, and we do everything in our power to get it fixed right away. We know that dealers kind of need that white glove rollout, but those are the key components that have made it successful, and we've had such super growth. I mean, we went from 47 dealers at the beginning of the year, and now we have 178 committed.
This is this year alone?
Yes.
Oh, God, that's great.
Do I look tired? Don't look at the bags under my eyes.
No.
We're running fast.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So you've been in automotive for quite some time. You've got 2 young boys. There's no doubt that you'll be up to your neck in cars for decades to come. I'm sure they have an ample collection at this point. Hot Wheels is always a hot thing with the little guys.
Yeah.
You speak to a lot of dealerships, a lot of dealership owners, and they likely confide to you many things. What are some of the issues that you see within the dealerships that need addressing that might not be getting the critical attention needed? Because you've found an interesting niche. So obviously you're a thinker and you analyze. Is it still turnover? Is it customer retention? Is it company morale? What are some of the intangibles and tangibles that you see that are still problematic for dealerships, certainly going into this next?
Well, it's such a great question. It's such a great question. I mean, I think turnover affects every business. And if you really can't hone in on that and making sure you've got the right team members in the right seat on the bus and really giving them what they want. What's interesting now after COVID is so many people like this remote worker option that I think being inside a dealership, I think being in the retail environment is a struggle for some stores to keep and retain people because people have gotten used to this freedom of having that remote working option. At the same time, and just our expense itself, we had a huge Toyota store up their minimum wage because they wiped out a $20,000 expense. So right out of the gates, it's one of these things where it's this huge expense. You can take that and put it towards your employees and really make sure that it is flowing through in a positive way, that it affects everybody. I think initially people think, oh, we're just raising our prices. We're sticking it to the customer with this credit card surcharge. But when you can take that massive expense, again, this huge top 10 Gulf States Toyota store, $20,000 a month, they can take it and use it for the good of the store in a million different ways. That's just one example. That's a big one to help with their employee retention for sure. Now, customer retention, I think those two are always going to be big. But I think employee retention and the way that they've got to be with their employees because they're their first line of defense to their customer, I think that's the first thing always.
Yeah. Well, that was a nice little dovetail. That was a good answer. Didn't see it coming. Very happy I got it. Good work. It's crystal ball time because these are short podcasts. I like to call them quick casts. Where do you see the dealership model in 10 years? You might have to consult your gypsy. I understand there's a gypsy listening in on us right now. That because no one knows. I know. Well, are we going to have subscription models? Will manufacturers be selling direct? What does your gypsy tell you?
Okay, well, my gypsy tells me that some of the smaller stores in more rural markets will inevitably go away. I think they're much harder to maintain. So I think that's kind of the first lowest hanging fruit is to clean up some of the franchise system. At the same time, some of the ugly things between the franchises and the dealers themselves, I would be sad to see them be in an adversarial way between the manufacturer and the franchises because they've put so much love and energy and effort into making those stores what they are today. And there's so much money and resource spent. But I think the very first thing I see is some of these these tertiary markets, these more rural markets. I just think those are going to inevitably have to go away because they're expensive to run, they're expensive to maintain. And I think it will then be put into more of a model where we're going to see a lot more groups, right? We're going to see a lot more groups with a lot more rooftops under one leadership. So I think the groups are going to grow exponentially. We see, even for us, we see groups of 4 and 5. I think those are inevitably going to go to, 10 and 20 and 30. And I think we're going to see a lot of those. But I, again, also see some of these smaller stores in these tertiary markets and more rural markets have to go away. That's simply my opinion.
Yeah, it makes sense. What's the Amberly Allen value proposition? What does a dealership get when they get you and your team?
Oh, gosh. I feel like what they get is a team that actually really cares about automotive. I firmly believe, as I sit here today, 42-year-old single mom of 2, that I would have never received the opportunities that I have if I was not in the automotive space. And I think for me at the helm, I have a true and sincere love for the business, for the people I work with, for the dealers that have given me incredible opportunities, for the first dealer that said yes to Dealer Merchant Services and the 180 since then. They knew that Amberly at the lead, at the helm, would do what she said she was going to do. And I think that's the case. And hopefully you can see that throughout my team and all the people that work for me. So that's certainly what I hope.
Now, I errantly accuse you of having 2 boys. You have a boy and a girl.
I do. I have one of each.
Okay, one of each. Good. And there's 1 and 2 years old, did you say?
They're first grader and a second grader. So
first grader and a second grader. There you go.
They're practically twins, though. They're 18 months apart, 7 and 8 and 6.5. So very close in age.
Well, the girl's probably a little bit bigger than the boy, but that ain't gonna last very long, will it?
No, they're really close. Like I said, they're close in age, they're close in stature, and personality wise, they're pretty different though. So they keep me on my toes.
Yeah. Amberly Allen, a pleasure. Where can you be reached?
So dealermerchantservices.com. I'm all over LinkedIn. My team is putting me out there in full swift force. So everywhere on LinkedIn, Amberly Allen. You can find me, dealermerchantservices.com, dimarketing.net, the Amberly Allen at Instagram.
The Amberly Allen at Instagram. That's all the time we have for this edition. That's all the time we have for Amberly Allen. But is it all the time we have for Amberly Allen? Stay tuned for that one. We like it short and sweet. Hope you do too. For Car Motivators, I'm Kelly Kleinman. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Just thrilled to be here.